Hello, Dustin Freeman here. Thank you for taking the time to view my first video scribe. Today I would like to welcome you as we continue our study of genetics. Here to help us today from the past is Gregory Mendel. Please welcome him as he leads you through his studies with pea plants and his discoveries involving traits and heredity. Before there was much knowledge about DNA and its structure, I began some rather extensive studies looking at heredity in pea plants. There were many pea plant traits that I studied. Some of these would include seed color, seed shape, pod color, pod shape, stem length, flower position, and flower color. Today, we will be using flower color to look more closely at my findings. One of the first steps in the process involved taking purple flowered pea plants and breeding them to each other. I found that in time I was able to always get purple flowered offspring from certain plants. The second generation offspring from these plants would again produce only purple flowered third generation offspring when crossed with any other pea plants. I determined that these plants must be true breeding purple flowered pea plants, as their offspring were always purple flowered. I then began working with white flowered pea plants and found the same was true. If I crossed a white flowered pea plant with another white flowered pea plant, all of the offspring would turn out to have white flowers. This told me that the white flowering pea plants were also true breeding, as they always produced white flowered pea plants. So I decided to cross a true breeding purple flowered plant with a true breeding white flowered plant to see what I would get. I took my purple plant, crossed it with my white plant, and what would my offspring be? Purple, purple again, purple, and purple. Okay. What? None of these have white flowers? Now why would that be? I better continue crossing these offspring. Maybe I can figure out why none are white. Let's see what is produced when I cross these offspring. Here's my first purple offspring. Going to cross it with another of my purple offspring from the step before. What will I have? First one looks like purple, and another purple, one more purple, and a white. Yes, 3 purples, I get that, but 1 white? Both parents are purple flowering plants. How can this be? Well, with many more experiments and through selective breeding of different traits in my pea plants, I came to discover that the pea plants had 2 genetic factors for each of these traits. I determined that the purple color must then be the dominant trait. This trait is expressed if the factor is present at all. The white color, then, must be a recessive trait. The white recessive trait is only expressed if the dominant factor is not present. Therefore, 2 recessives must be present to get a white. To help you understand and predict this process, let's look at the use of a Punnett square. First, let's show the Punnett square for our true breeding purple flowered pea plants. Here's our Punnett square. Now we will use a capital P to represent the dominant purple of the purple flower producing parents. The true breeding purple flower plants carry 2 dominant alleles, so when placing our purple flower producing parents, they will be represented as shown. We will now fill in the chart by moving the letters representing the alleles down and across to determine the genotypes. And there they are. As you can see, the genotype of these parents would all be represented by 2 capital P's, and the phenotype, what is actually expressed and seen, would be purple flowered plants. And now, the true breeding white, a recessive trait, only being seen when the dominant purple trait is not present. Our Punnett square will now have these white flowering parents represented with 2 lowercase p's for the recessive white flowering trait. And there you see our parents represented. Again, we're going to move these letters down and across to determine possible offspring combinations for genotype. And the result is all lowercase p's, the result being all white offspring. To finish up, let's look at a final Punnett square showing how we can get white flowered offspring from 2 purple flowered hybrid parents. And our Punnett square again. This time, the parents are both hybrid, meaning they show purple flowers, but they do carry a recessive allele, being that they will now be an uppercase P and a lowercase p for each parent. We move down and across again, filling in our Punnett Square. This time you might remember that we had 3 purple offspring and 1 white offspring when we crossed the hybrid parents. The phenotype would be 3 purple offspring. However, in the genotype, you notice I have 1 true breeding purple, 1 true breeding white, and 2 hybrid purples. Thank you for viewing my first video scribe. I hope that you were able to gather a little more understanding of genetics and heredity with the help of Gregory Mendel.